Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Let There Be Talk. It's January 7th, 2019, the new year. Here we are, the first episode of the new year, kicking it off with a monster guest. This is pretty fucking cool. 19's looking good already. We got Corey Taylor here from Slipknot and Stone Sour. How dope is that? Picked up the interview while I was in Vegas. Corey lives out there. We didn't really know each other, but we had been communicating over the last, 6 months on the Instagram. One of the great things of social media. Once in a while, I get lucky and I can get a guest from tweeting at someone or DMing them. Talking some social media lingo. DM me, bro. Tweet at me. Get at me on the social. It's always that love-hate of social media, right? Can't stand it. Love it. Addicted to it. Gotta get off it. New Year's resolution, no social media. And then there you are, 12:05 a.m., January 1st, 2019, you're like, look at those guys. They're at a party I'm not at. Great conversation with Corey Taylor. He talks about all kinds of great things, including being addicted to social media. You guys are going to love this episode. I loved having Corey on. What a great guy. And I can't thank him enough for doing it. It was fun to be out in Vegas. I was out there for 8 days. That was a long fucking run. A long run. A little residency at the Comedy Cellar at the Rio Hotel. I want to thank all the Delraisers that came out. There was a lot of great shows. Keith Robinson was in the house with me. We had some good times. And ate some good food. And now here I am in L.A., doing some shows and doing some podcasting and trying to get to the next level with this podcast for you guys this year. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on iTunes. I've been trying to get to 1,500. I think it is at 13. What's it at right now? Let me look real quick. It is at 1330. Leave those reviews. It really helps the show, believe it or not. And it makes me feel good. We got to feel good out there. I hope you're feeling good this week. Some quick reminders here. I do have the Patreon page, patreon.com/Dean Delray, for all your bonus episodes every Thursday, sometimes Friday. I put up a little 30 to 40 minute episode of what's going on in my life or what I want to talk about. Seems like some of you guys are digging it. Shout outs to the new Patreoners. Udi Barlev. That's a cool name. Udi Barlev. Sounds like you're playing the Scorpions. On bass, Udi Barven. Jason Price, a Patreoner. What's happening, buddy? Joe Billings upped his ante. Thank you, my man. Paul Jones. PJ, he goes by. Paul Jones. He's a Patreoner. Steven Esposito. And Jim Koch. The return of Jim Koch. Thank you guys for donating to the Patreon page. Believe it or not, it helps big time with life. You want to see some live shows, some dates coming up, March 7, 8, and 9. I will be at the Houston Improv with the great Joey Diaz. I recommend you get tickets right away. Also, Comedy Castle in April. I'll be headlining in Detroit. All dates are on DeanDelRay.com. Yes, old school. Remember those? A website? I actually have one. It's so funny. People are like, where are your dates at? Nobody even thinks about websites anymore. And they're probably the best spot to find out everything about me. What else we got here? Oh, yeah, don't forget, mwreynolds.com. One more week of that code Delray. mwreynolds.com. Some of the best clothing and outdoor wear, guns, fishing stuff, all kinds of amazing products at mwreynolds.com. Shot jackets, smoking denim, great boots, all the good stuff. Filson, my favorite. I got a Filson bag right now I've been traveling with. I just love this bag. I got the Tin Cloth 24 bag and army green. This thing, it looks like it's going to last a lifetime. Filson makes such great stuff. You can get it at mwreynolds.com. Use the code Delray at checkout or go to the store right in downtown Denver. Buy my favorite place, the Comedy Works. I love all you guys. We're going to get into the episode here. Thank you. Have a great night, team. Get out there and grab the bull by the horns, whatever the fuck that means. Here we go. Corey Taylor.
Check 1 2.
Check 1 2.
Check 1
Check 1 2.
Check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to another episode of Let There Be Talk from Las Vegas, Nevada. Great guest today, Corey Taylor. How are you, man?
Good, man. It's good to be here.
I've never met you.
Yeah, but we have like a ton of mutual friends.
Isn't that crazy? We
very
do.
Weird. Yeah, I don't know how the hell they must be keeping us apart for a reason. It's probably, and we'll find out during this show.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm 52.
Okay.
So I didn't even really get into the Slipknot game until I'm great friends with Ross Robinson.
Okay, yeah.
So he says, hey, you want to go see Slipknot? They're playing. It was Slipknot, Slayer, and Anthrax out there in the desert.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe about 7 years ago or something, 8 years ago. I don't know.
It was, I think it was the Mayhem Festival.
Yeah.
2000, I think it was 2012, like the last time we did it.
Fucking long time, man.
Yeah.
And a huge Anthrax fan and Slayer. So then there I am. I don't know what to expect. I know who the band is, of course.
Yeah.
But by the time you guys hit, I'm kind of, into another world.
Yeah.
And I stood there and I was just in awe. I was like, whoa, man. And then after that, I dove down the rabbit hole, of course.
Thanks,
but
man.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was. First of all, I was about 5 feet away and there was just fire the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
There was dudes flying around. The one guy had like a dick nose.
Yeah.
And he would jump from drum to drum.
Yeah.
And then and it's boiling. You got these masks on.
Oh, yeah.
I worshipped.
Yeah.
It was so great.
It's a tough show to get through.
I can imagine, too. How old are you now?
I'm 45.
45, and you started in like 98 or something?
Well, yeah, the band started in 95.
95.
Before I joined the band.
Right.
I was actually doing Stone Sour before Slipknot.
Right.
And so we would do shows together, So we all knew each other. We all came up in the scene together. And then I eventually joined in 97. And the rest has just been shitty history ever since.
That's insane, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's next year will be our 20th anniversary of our first album.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah.
You guys are Iowa.
Yeah.
Which is like, I've been there many times. What was that even like to play music there? Was it one club, or did you play parties?
There were a handful of clubs. We would do parties and stuff, but there were a handful of clubs, and this was the mid '90s when clubs weren't as stringent on you playing 3 hours of covers.
Right.
I was, just to play live, you had to have covers in your set for the longest time. Until we kind of put our foot down, we were like, screw that. So there was a whole scene dedicated to playing originals. And we kind of started taking over the clubs in that area. There were about 4 or 5 that you could really guarantee that you could get in and play. So that's how we cut our teeth, But other than that, it was dead, Like there wasn't a lot of shows coming. And this was then, Obviously it's totally different now, and I'm pretty envious of the kids of Des Moines now because all kinds of shit comes through now. But when it was up, I mean, you want to talk about a desert. I mean, it was a fucking wasteland as far as entertainment was concerned.
And no bands would come through and play, big headliners?
They'd come through. Like, the biggest thing that came through for us was like what they called Metalpalooza at the time, which was the Lollapalooza that Metallica had.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
I remember that in the Ramones.
Yeah, that was great.
I wanted to go to that so bad. I didn't have the money, and I was flyering for a Stone Sour show. So I made a point to flyer around the state fairgrounds where they were having it, just so I could hear some shit going on.
I love that word, flyer.
Flyer.
People don't know what it is now.
You don't know what the fuck that is.
Fuck no.
What, you send out like an email flyer?
Yeah.
What is it? It's like,
you spend your actual food money on an advertisement that someone threw on the ground a minute later. And most of the times I would pick it back up.
Right.
No.
And re-gift.
Yeah, re-gift that flyer. You know?
That, and then putting them up on telephone poles, which was very illegal. So if you got caught, it was a stiff fine.
Yeah.
But then we would spray paint the info on bed sheets and put it on overpasses.
Overpasses?
Yeah.
No shit.
We would zip tie the fuck out so they couldn't fucking tear them down, and they would be there for like a week or so, before the show. So I mean, we were dedicated to making sure that we had the max. I mean, it was Des Moines, so
yeah.
If you had a packed house of 450.
Wow.
I mean, that was a good night.
That is a good night right now.
Yeah.
For
a great. Oh, yeah, absolutely. For lives. It's weird. Live is kind of starting to come back, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I think it's I think it has to do with the fact that people are just over these hippie, quote unquote, rock bands. That all sound like fucking Ed Sheeran wrote their songs for them.
Well,
which is just,
I don't know if that's hippie. It's just more kind of almost adult contemporary that they've slipped into. Like, hey, kids, you should be into this. It's like, really?
Everybody sounds like that Paris band.
Yeah.
Like everybody's got to have keyboards and accordion and a guitar player who doesn't really play it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all the production has to be super wet. So it's just reverb and shit from fucking hell. And you're just like, what, am I listening to a dishwasher?
Yeah.
What the hell is this? I don't get it.
Yeah. I love to have people on like yourself, because when you look at Slipknot, it's so outside the box.
Yeah.
Thinking, how is this band going to gain traction? There's hundreds and hundreds of bands out there every day trying to do it, and one will hit.
Yeah.
Do you remember, like, once you're in the band, does it start to take off pretty quick? Because if you joined in 97, your record's out in 99.
Yeah.
It had to.
That's when we really started to find our groove songwriting wise. Because I could do both. The original singer, Andy, great singer, but just different, and it wasn't exactly what they were trying to go for. They wanted, at the time, he didn't have as many of the skills that I do. He does now. Like he's really developed it, and he's got a great band back home called Painface that he does.
Yeah.
And I at the time I hadn't really done anything as heavy as Slipknot, so I had to develop my scream right away. But I already could sing. I had already do like all these different things, so I was kind of the perfect fit. And once we kind of unlocked that potential, we wrote Eyeless, we wrote Surfacing, we reworked Sick. At the time, it was called Slipknot. It was actually a self-titled song.
Yeah.
And we reworked it to become Sick. We wrote Spit It Out, Wait and Bleed. Like, the core came after I had joined the band. And that's when we really got the attention of Roadrunner. Came back. They had originally turned them down. And then we were originally going to sign with Sony.
Wow.
Because of our original management. And then they came and saw us play live, and they killed the deal. Like, they were like, there's a whole long story about that. So for a second, we were like, oh shit, we just blew our only chance, And then Roadrunner came back in because of Ross.
Yeah.
Actually, Ross was going to produce us regardless.
How did he find you? A demo tape?
No, he found us actually through
Korn?
Our friend, our mutual friend, John Reese.
Oh, John Reese.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he was friends with our original manager at the time, Sophia John, who was a local DJ who actually just kind of took it upon herself to help us. She could see the potential, and just wanted to help us get to that next level. It was Iowa, so I mean, you know, the internet was about this big at the time.
Yeah,
so
you got Facebook. Really, on that.
We just had to kind of work. You know, we had to go and do it ourselves.
How about MySpace? Because that was big.
MySpace wasn't even out yet. It was
really.
I mean, it was all chat rooms. It was all message boards, chat rooms. The big thing was to have your own website, and we were one of the first bands to actually have our own website.
Wow.
I mean, even on a local level. So people knew about us, but we couldn't get the right people to come and see. So Sophia knew John. John was actually, I think, managing Ross at the time.
Yeah, he used to manage Guns N' Roses.
Yeah. So John got Ross to come out. Actually, flew into Iowa and came to our practice, our rehearsal space, which was Sean's basement.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was about half the size of this room, all 9 of us in this room together. Right?
Were you wearing masks while he was in there?
No, not during the rehearsal, but we were just as nuts during rehearsal as we were on stage. And then he came to a show, and that's when it really clicked. And he just went, oh.
Yeah.
Well, I have this crazy once-in-a-lifetime picture that somebody took of us on stage, and then Ross is in the foreground, turned around. He's got this huge fucking grin on his face.
Oh, yeah.
Because one of my friends was just shooting the show. Had no idea that Ross was there.
Yeah.
So here, Ross has just got this massive smile on his face. And that was it. I mean, and then he was like, it doesn't matter where you guys sign, I'm going to produce the album. So we were really kind of even in good hands, even though the Sony deal dropped out.
You had to be like pretty fired up because there is definitely on the first record a lot of corn flavor, a little bit, you know, and that was the biggest band for a while. People
forget.
They forget, man.
I mean, what a phenomenon.
I try to tell people that too.
I remember seeing them open for fucking Megadeth.
Yeah.
When I was living in Denver at the time. They played the Gothic Theater, which was like this place maybe about 850 to 1,000. And dude, they fucking ripped the goddamn roof off the place.
Yeah.
I was like, and I mean, they were the shit, you know? And it's like you could listen to the album, and now I have appreciation for it, but once you saw them live, it was a whole different beast.
Yeah.
So that really had the same kind of influence on us, on me, that it had on a lot of the guys in Slipknot, but we wanted to take it even further.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, they were one of the few bands that were really kind of just start to kind of get that vibe of what we were trying to do. But we were trying to do everything from Korn and Sepultura to Manson to Metallica, Slayer. We were trying to take and then throw in hip hop, hardcore punk, like really kind of what's going on now.
Yeah.
We were trying to do then, and it just turned into this fucking nuts noise, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if you kind of look at it, you've got the early inklings of metal with Sabbath and everything, and then you get into, of course, the 80s of Saxon and that new wave of British heavy metal, and you get into Priest is like the kings of metal.
Yeah.
Then Metallica takes it to another level, and then it kind of sits there for a while, and then Korn comes around, and it injects a whole new beast into the scene, and then you guys take it and go way beyond, and that's how a type of music, a style, gets better and better because people aren't just like, that's the thing I have a problem with some of the doom bands. They all just sound like Sabbath.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, hey, you guys are great, but this is the same thing from 69.
I heard this 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Like I have a lot of that with a lot of the bands that are out there now. It's like I've heard it.
Yeah.
I've heard this. Even if it's not blatant, it still sounds so familiar that you can't. It's like you dig it. You're like, this is cool, but
you don't know who it is.
Yeah,
You're like, is it this guy
There's
or those guys?
personality.
Right, exactly.
There's no identity.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. But there's a new wave coming out. I don't know if you know that band Horror.
No.
Horror? Horror, yeah.
Horror, yeah, absolutely.
Man. They are so fucking good.
Yeah.
Those guys, the Fever 333 are really good. They're like a weird mashup of Rage and almost like a hint of Linkin Park in there.
Wow.
It's got Chester's melody, but then Zach's Ferocity.
Oh, I saw that band.
They're really good.
Yeah, I saw
man.
that band. Actually, somebody sent me a
I
video.
think they were on the Warped Tour for like
Somebody showed me some live footage of them.
They're really good. So there's a new wave coming out.
Yeah.
That is really, really hungry again, and you can see that they're starting to play with the different genres. And I'm always looking for new stuff, you know.
Same here.
There's nothing that makes you feel better than discovering a new band that you can then totally get into. You're
That's
just
my
like,
life.
This is fucking awesome, you know. I mean, that's why we got into music in the first place, you know. It was almost like spreading the word, you know.
It's new drugs.
Yeah, exactly. It really is. And
Yeah.
then that's like I hyper focus on that shit.
So do I.
And just overdo it. And I'm just like, this is great. And then I just keep doing it. Like a couple years ago, I found a band called Code Orange.
Code Orange?
Great fucking band. Yeah, they're like I mean, to describe them, Jesus Christ, I don't know, they're like a sludgy hardcore with hints of electronic. I mean, it's really, really fucking good. And then I got to meet those guys, and they were big Slipknot fans, you know? So then they asked me to be on one of their songs, so I got to do a song with them.
That's
which
so
was
cool,
killer.
right?
I love that, you know? And the more I can promote those bands, the more that I can guarantee that our genre is going to continue, whether that's metal, punk, rock, and all of that stuff. It's all about paying it fucking forward, because somebody helped me. If I don't help somebody else, then how the hell is this going to continue?
Yeah, that's just a shitty move if you don't, you know?
Well, and there's too many guys. I compare it, honestly, to a lot of the older wrestlers, like the different I don't know if you watch wrestling or
Nope.
anything. I'm such a fucking wrestling geek.
I knew you would be.
Oh, I totally am.
Yeah.
And, you know, I devour wrestling documentaries voraciously. Like, I'll watch that, and it's the way that the old school system was the top guys would always keep the younger dudes down instead of really giving them a shot or working with them. And basically it stunted a lot of growth for a lot of the territories, and that's kind of what we've started to see with a lot of the older bands not wanting to give up their spot or help the other generation.
I think that's in anything.
Yeah.
You know, it really is.
It really is, yeah.
I mean, I've been blessed to be doing comedy and have some of the biggest comics on the planet take me on the road and shouting my name out on like a Joe Rogan podcast is the equivalent of them wearing a shirt around for
It's a big
year.
boost, right?
Oh my God. You know, I mean, last week, Bill Burr and Rogan were talking about me singing AC/DC.
Oh, you guys did the gig.
Yeah.
That's right. I didn't. Yeah, I'd actually left town that morning. I didn't get to go.
I know, what a bummer. But we in like 5 minutes conversation, my Instagram just starts blowing up. And I'm like, what's going on with my Instagram right now? I mean, for real, like, this is weird.
Yeah.
And then, of course, someone hit me and goes, oh, Rogan and Burr are talking about showing the video of you singing right now.
Oh, nice.
And that kind of stuff. And I think it really comes down to people that are secure with their self, and they also know what a struggle it is coming up.
Oh, yeah.
And without any help, you may make it, but it's going to be way longer.
Yeah.
Way longer, and you may give up.
It's that old adage that if you have a friend with a job, you've got a shot at having a job. You know, most people who have jobs only got that job because their friend helped them get it, you know? And I've been that way, you know. You can't be too proud to say that, you know.
Yeah.
I'm sure coming up in this scene,
I'm nowhere without I'm like, at the beginning, I was nowhere without Mark Maron putting me on his podcast.
Yeah.
I was the first unknown guy to be on his podcast, and that I'll never be able to pay that back to him, but I try all the time in certain ways, you know.
Well, it's the spirit of it, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, how different is it? Because I know, you know, I have friends who are comedians and whatnot, and we shoot the shit a lot about what it's like, kind of coming up with it. I mean, is it much different? I mean, from your perspective, is it much different than local bands kind of starting out and trying to hustle gigs? Are there more opportunities, but it's harder?
Well,
'cause that's what it kind of seems like.
I played music for 25 years.
Okay.
So I know exactly the differences. And it's way easier as a comic if you have the same drive that you had in the band.
In the
'Cause
band.
in the
Okay.
band,
Okay.
I had so much drive that I could carry one or two wink links in the band.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
imagine, and also with comedy, you could do 3, 4, 5 open mics in a night.
Yeah.
To get better quicker.
Yeah.
Where with music, you have to rehearse every day, and then you go maybe do a live show maybe twice a month. Back
Yeah.
when I was playing music,
Yeah.
because you didn't want to burn your draw.
No.
Remember
no.
that back then? I was
Yeah.
like, man, we got to build it up, and then we do the one big show in February. You didn't play every night.
Yeah.
Cover bands did, but not original bands. So and there's no sound check. There's no van to drive the gear. There's no rehearsal studio payments. All that shit. It's way easier. And it's way harder.
I was going to say, yeah.
It's
as much as it can be easier,
It's way harder, too.
probably just as, even more difficult. Is it a pecking order kind of thing, or is it just an opportunity kind of thing?
It's just earn your fucking time.
Yeah,
you know?
cut your teeth and just get out there.
Earn. It's all work. Here's the difference between music and comedy, I think. In music, a guy could get a band together. He could have an uncle in the biz, and they could hire the greatest guys
Yeah.
and be his band and write songs and stuff.
Yeah.
And he could get a record deal. Like, there's so many people in the world like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, true.
But in comedy, if you got a guy in the business, he can open the door for you. But if you don't know what there's no guys
Yeah.
carrying you like
There's
a great
nobody- yeah,
band.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
also, somebody could write all your shit, and it would be horrible.
It's because if you're not feeling it, the delivery.
It's not your voice. Sure, somebody could write one-liners or something. Hey, you're a one-liner comic, and they're
Yeah.
gonna work. But it's way different.
Yeah.
So
I dabbled in stand up.
somebody told me that.
Yeah, usually when I do my book tours, when I write, it's just an excuse for me to go out and do like a bunch of fucking acoustic shit, you know.
Yeah.
But I start the show with an hour of just, I'll do like 30 minutes just kind of riffing and telling stories and whatnot, and then I'll do a Q&A for like 20, 30 minutes. And I was able, like the first time I went out on it, I was so fucking nervous, but I was so stoked about it that by the end of the 2-week tour, I had a solid like 30 minutes. However, I come with a built-in audience,
Right.
And
Right.
so there's no way I would even quantify that by saying, oh yeah, I could totally do stand-up, because it's not. I couldn't walk into a room cold
Of strangers.
And, exactly. I feel like maybe I could hold my own, but I don't know, and I don't have the balls to try.
Yeah.
I'll take my built-in audience and be just fine. I'm not looking for a Netflix gig.
Well, you learn stuff when you're out doing a spoken word. Like I talked to Scotty Ian about it.
Yeah.
And of course, Henry Rollins is the greatest of all
He
time.
was my blueprint, man.
Nobody
He was so
touches
good.
that guy.
Yeah.
Still one of the greatest shows I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
UC Berkeley,
Oh.
3-hour spoken word.
Yeah, dude, he's insane. Like he would come
Absolutely.
through Iowa twice a year.
Yeah.
Like, so you could see him at the college, and then you could see him at a fucking club. It was, and
Yeah.
he's who inspired me to honestly to write books as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just ripping off Henry Rollins at this point.
But when you go out after you do like 2 weeks, you start to see bullet points where people are laughing.
Yeah.
And then you can, if you're recording them, you can take notes and go, oh, they're laughing big time here.
Yeah.
You can elaborate even more on that. And pretty soon you've got a great hour of storytelling.
Yeah.
I'm dying to do it. I want to do it with Scott Ian in the States. He might do the States. Because
he's done Europe and Australia.
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
But there's so many. I want to try that animal of not having the pressure to make them laugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they are laughing.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Because I have lots of stories, and people love stories, right?
The way your fucking eyes lit up.
Oh,
I
it's
was
just-
like, oh shit.
Yeah.
He knows where the bodies are buried.
you guys do that first album. Where'd you guys do that record with
We
Ross?
did it at Indigo.
Oh, Indigo. What
Yeah.
long live Indigo. That was Ross's place.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I was so fucking destroyed when it burned.
Ah.
Like, I mean, I can't even. And I know everybody in the band's been up to kind of pay respects or whatever. I can't bring myself to do it. I can't. I'm just like because I remember. I mean, dude, it was the greatest time in my life was being up at that studio. I mean, I was 25, 24 at the time.
And you got a record deal.
We had a record
You're
deal.
working with the Korn producer.
The dude who like that, there were no other options for us. He was the dude. He was all we wanted to do because we knew he would get it. Even before we had met him and before we knew he would do it. We just knew that he was the guy, you know? And he was, you know, our first two albums helped us get, atmospheric, you know, or, you know, stratospheric basically. So for us, I mean, it was Ross or die basically, you know? And then, you know, getting that and achieving it, obviously it's only the first step, but you have to allow yourself to enjoy the fact that you're actually on the verge of it, you know? So we had no money. We lived off those fucking 29-cent Jack in the Box meat envelope tacos.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was like Shangri-La for
It's like
us.
$3 tacos for $1.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
They're the flattest.
They're just slots.
Dude, you could use them as fucking Christmas cards. They were so flat.
There's no way it was meat.
No, but
I don't even
dude.
know what that was, but they were just pushed together.
I feel like it was Alpo and
Absolutely.
some kind of shredded lettuce bullshit. But there was only about that much in the bottom of it, and the rest was shell. You know,
Yeah.
you're just like, oh, this is horse shit.
Yeah.
But we would get that, but we would load up on ramen, fucking weird hot dogs, because we were the only people in California that ate that shit at the time.
Yeah.
It's like these rabid Iowa boys, you know? And then a fucking giant gallon of like the cheapest rum we could find. Like we just lived off that up on this mountain. So
Yeah.
every morning we'd wake up and it was fucking gorgeous. It was paradise. And we're just like, who gives a fuck if we're broke? We're making an album. We're loving it. We're destroying ourselves to do it. And dude, it's like to this day, it's the best experience I've ever had making an album. Like, because it was because we were learning, we were pushing ourselves as hard as we could, and there was no guarantee that we were going to make it, you know?
Yeah. And Ross has that weird way of recording, right?
He really does, man.
He's like digging into you, like, what are you thinking right now?
Yeah.
What's in your head? What does that lyric mean?
It's got to be immersive, just, you know? When I was doing the vocals for Iowa, you know, he'd had that motorcycle accident. So his back was fucking broke.
Yeah.
He laid on a fucking mattress next to me. And I'm fucking destroying myself and throwing up, and he's screaming in the background, you know? I mean, he's a nut.
Yeah.
But that just pushed you even harder, you know? And you either embrace that style or you don't, you know? Like, and there's a lot of people who just can't get behind it.
Yep.
But it's so liberating, because then you listen back and you trust him, because he just has a way of putting vocals together where you're just like, fuck. That's insane. Like the vocals on Iowa, I'll never be able to touch, because I can't tell you how many fucking takes I took, but he just, you know, and he's doing it all on tape, and he's just feeding it and you know, patching it together. And I'm like, I don't know where one fucking take starts and the other end.
Oh yeah, you start getting
Holy
blurry.
God. Oh yeah, it's crazy.
But that's not kind of the cool thing. You get lost in it, and you're like, is this even any good? I don't know what the fuck. What is this guy doing?
And then he starts comping it all together, and and he starts giggling,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, he found something good, you know? So yeah, it was the best, man. So recording up there at Indigo was like the best. And I tell you what, man, I mean, I'd never really had it pretty good, you know? Like I grew up poor. I was homeless for a while. I lived, you know, even after I got into my 20s and whatnot, just hard keeping jobs and being a musician.
What were you doing? Construction or
I
what?
did roofing and siding for a while, but then I was like, this ain't me.
Yeah.
And then I worked in restaurants, obviously. That wasn't me. The best job I ever had, 3.5 years, I was a sales associate at a porn shop.
Wow.
And it was the fucking best gig.
Sales associate?
Yeah,
You mean you're just a cash register guy?
Smut hustler. Yeah, that's all I did. I didn't clean any fluids.
Yeah.
Because because we had the
they the Jacker booths?
Oh, yeah, it wasn't me.
In Iowa?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
The Adult Emporium. It's not there anymore. It got bought by another place, but it was.
Man,
like
you got to see some weird people coming in there, huh?
Dude, that's another book I'm going to write someday.
Wow.
Like just like from the moment I started that gig until the day I left, because I wrote all the lyrics for
in
the
there?
first Slipknot album in there, because I worked from midnight to 8, which is the best time to work.
Oh, fuck. The freak zone.
Oh, dude.
The
it was
math
nuts.
heads, the loonies.
Crazy shit. I had a dude walk in wearing nothing but chaps. And this is at like 2:30 in the morning.
He thought you were going to dig that?
He just thought, well, I don't
Or
think
was he dressing
realized
up
where
for
he
the
was.
booth?
He had long, he looked like, from the neck up, he looked like Billy Ray Cyrus, like 90, 91, right?
Mullet.
Amazing mullet. Like very well taken care of. He had the Randy mustache, and then no shirt, and then just the fucking leather chaps, no pants. And he just was like, he just looked stunned, And I was like, and for a split second, I didn't really know what to say. Yeah. And I just went, dude, you can't be in here like that, right? And he's like, what? So and my buddy came out from the back, who was the janitor.
The cum sweeper.
Oh yeah. The guy that dealt with all the chemicals. He grabs him, he threw him out, and we were there for about 2 seconds. We're laughing about it, and then all of a sudden, that motherfucker had gone to his car, gotten a shot glass, thrown it through the fucking door, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And I looked at my buddy, and he's like, "Let's go get him." So we ran outside. He's peeling off. He drove through the ditch to get up on the goddamn road.
Oh.
And I was like, "You motherfucker!" So I call the cops.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, can you give us a description?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Okay, well, he was driving a tan Delta 88. However, he's wearing nothing but chaps." And they're like, what do you mean nothing but chaps? I was like, I mean, he forgot to put the pants on before he put the chaps on. And they just started laughing. They're like, all right. I never heard about it again. But so I have several stories like that.
That's a good book there.
Oh, fuck, dude. Yeah, so I got that. That could be one that's in the
Was that your last job before the band took off?
Yeah. God,
that's crazy, right?
I tried to get that job back too when we were working on the music for Iowa, and they wouldn't take me back
because there's no money. People don't understand.
Oh yeah, dude, I haven't made shit.
Yeah, you're out on tour, right? And you come home now. You need to get a job again.
I had about $3,000 in my pocket, which at the time was like the most money I'd ever had. I still didn't have an apartment. And I was still trying to figure out where the fuck I was going to live, because I had lost my apartment right before we went out on the first tour in '99. And so I was basically keeping all my stuff at my grandma's house.
You grew up with no father?
Yeah. No, I didn't meet my dad until I was about 30.
Wow.
So, yeah. So
was that weird?
Yeah. I mean, it was weird at first. And then we got along, and then we just haven't talked, It was one of those things where it's like, okay, I can say I've done it.
Yeah.
But I'm not. It's tough for me.
I get it.
It's like you're the adult. You're the father. You should be wanting to talk to me. If you don't want to talk to me, okay, that's cool. I got what I needed. You know. But the cool thing is I found out I have 2 brothers and another sister on my dad's side who I actually do talk to.
Oh wow.
So yeah. So that's kind of cool. You know? But yeah,
you got no money, right? I mean,
nothing,
people don't understand that stuff,
living as broke as we were, I mean,
and you got like 400 dudes in the band,
yeah, dude.
So
there wasn't a lot to go around. Let's put it that way. But once we started working on Iowa, that's when actually stuff started to pay off. But I just wanted to get my job back to write the lyrics. I wanted to be able to work midnight to 8 to write the lyrics there. They wouldn't take me back because they were afraid that kids were going to want to like show up and see me.
Oh,
because I had talked about the place in the press.
Oh shit!
So I was like, dude, I'll shave my head. I'll grow a beard.
I'll wear a mask.
Yeah, nobody will know me. And they're like, no, we won't do it.
I'll wear one of those blow-up doll masks.
Yeah. Oh, those things are fucked up.
Those things are weird, right?
Dude, some of the shit we sold in that place, man. Ugh. There was, okay, I'll give you one. There was this little petite woman who came in. She had to weigh about $110, you know? Beautiful, you know? But really not the frame of a girl who you'd think would be going for it, you know? And she kind of disappears into the store. I'm doing whatever. I'm checking rentals in, and I turn around and she has come up to the counter with two of the biggest Van Johnson plastic products I've ever seen in my life. And one was called the Fist.
Oh, the Fist.
Oh, you know.
Oh, I know the Fist.
And then its companion piece, the Hand, which is basically the same thing as the Fist, except it's doing the duck bill, right? And it's much bigger than my forearm. The thing, I mean, it's solid rubber.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing
you could knock people out with
dude,
it.
Absolutely. You could pass that out to cops, and they could use riot control with that thing. And she kind of sets him down, and there's this awkward little quiet moment where she is bright red.
Yeah.
And I go,
for you?
will this be all for you tonight?
You're just
she's like, oh my God. And
for you?
And I just, she took him, she left. I never saw her again. I was like, would you like some lubes or lotions to go with this? And she, it's Iowa.
Yeah.
My aunt came in one night.
No. Did she know you worked there?
No.
Unbelievable.
She, God bless her, tried to play it off like she was like looking for directions, but I was like, it's 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Where do you think you're trying to get to? She couldn't leave fast enough.
Your aunt came in. Oh, that had to be weird for you,
I won't
right?
name check her because I haven't told that my whole family, like none of my family knows that.
Yeah, God, that's
but
great.
it was brutal.
When you joined Slipknot, it's an interesting way that you sing, and a lot of this the vocalists now. Is part of the vocal done like when I was younger? You could use an SPX 90 for like some growly, like. Yeah. Is part of it effects, or are you doing that with your actual voice? Because man, that is some quick trashing of the voice.
Well, I mean, I had to kind of develop a style that wouldn't trash it as much, So,
is that a lot of microphone technique?
Some of it is, but if you're doing that, it's never gonna transcribe live. So for me, it's more. I always record everything dry, and then add the shit.
Yeah.
So I do the aggressive stuff first. And then if we want to compress it a little more or, kind of overdrive it, we do. If I'm hearing a certain vibe in my head. But it's only really for pieces, like here and there. Like it's for accent. When I'm doing it in verses or whatnot, I want people to, for the most part, understand what I'm saying. So it's more important for me to do it clean.
The enunciation.
And do it aggressive so you can really feel what I'm saying. Because for me, that's what it's all about. It's like you feel what I'm saying, but I want you to understand what I'm saying so you understand why I'm saying it the way I am. So yeah, I try to stay away from too many effects. I'll change mics and whatnot for different vibes, but I try to go as clean as possible when it comes to the aggressive stuff, because then when you do it live, you get that same impact, and you don't need your sound guy running a shit ton of fucking distortion or anything on it.
And fucking signals, here's that one thing. Yeah,
So yeah, I try to keep it as unaffected as possible. And
when you start to do that, when you come into Slipknot, how do you? I mean, the singer before is different than you. How did you start to hear like, oh, this is going to be the character of that? Because it's different than being a singer, let's say. Because a singer this is my voice. You start to figure out what your voice is. You might like, oh, I sound like Gene Simmons at first. I was raised by and then you start to figure out what works for you. But when you're in there, are you slowly developing this character of this voice?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, because like I said, I mean, before I joined Slipknot, I had never
Stone
sung
Sour,
like that.
right.
Yeah, I'd never sang as heavy as that. I'd done some aggressive stuff, but nothing as growly as that.
So how did they think it might work? Did they ask you to audition?
I grew up listening to stuff like Venom, stuff like Deicide, obviously, Obituary, and Henry. Henry's voice is very aggressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he's not what you would call a melodic singer.
Right.
So I kind of grew up listening with that in my head, and that's how I approached it when they first tried me out, because they came to me to see if I wanted to join. So we went into the studio, and they gave me 2 songs. They were like, "We want you to rework the lyrics on this and kind of see what you have." And I recorded 2 songs, and they were blown away. They were like, "Holy shit! Like we weren't expecting this,
Oh, that's cool.
Because they didn't realize that I had so much aggression in me that I needed to get out. Maybe I didn't either.
Yeah.
So Slipknot was like the perfect fit for me, in a lot of ways.
Was it tough to leave Stone Sour, or was that kind of just stagnant at the time?
At the time, I was ready to kind of do something different.
Yeah, something heavier.
Yeah. Oh, the challenge. Because, at the time, I was writing probably, over 60% of the music with Stone Sour. So I was looking for a new way to challenge myself. And when I walked into Slipknot, I wasn't writing any music because I wasn't nearly as good as those guys.
The bass player wrote all the stuff, right?
Well, Paul and Joey wrote a lot of stuff. But Mick wrote a bunch of stuff. Craig, our sampler, wrote a bunch of stuff. Like, there's a kind of an amalgam. We all played guitar. So we all brought ideas in. Paul and Joey were the most passionate about it. That would really work out whole songs and arrangements and whatnot. But everybody would bring in riffs and everything. And at the time, I wasn't nearly as technically proficient as everybody else was. So I'd never really written in that style, so I didn't really do anything like that, but I wrote all the lyrics. And the guys would help me out with certain things or throw me ideas, and I would incorporate them into that. But it wasn't until Iowa that I wrote a riff for one of the songs, and then I wrote a whole song going into All Hope Is Gone, I guess was the first time I did that. But yeah, it was weird, trying to kind of find my voice in it all. It's actually one of the reasons why I ended up putting Stone Sour back together, was because I wanted to do something different. I'd been doing Slipknot solid for about 5 years straight, and I wanted to play again. I wanted to write again. And Stone Sour was just the perfect fit. I was still friends with all those guys. I was writing music with Josh Rand, who was a guy I'd grown up with. And the guys in Stone Sour were all kind of a part of it. So we just ended up calling it Stone Sour again.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah,
right?
It's crazy, right? Like how everything kind of came back around,
Yeah. I trip on the mask thing. I think when I saw you guys, the masks were so incredible.
Yeah.
Those things are... Your mask... Yours particularly was just so rad to me. I was like, look at that. How did that, like early on, there's no one making your mask.
No, we're doing it all.
You were making the mask kind of like Guar then.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
So how did you learn to make the mask?
It was trial and error. For some of the guys, like for Clown, he'd had that mask since he was 12 years old. So that clown mask was a part of him. He'd had it, still fit. He used it, and when he put it on, he became that guy. The other guys in the band, it was more about kind of finding what fit them.
The character.
Yeah. For me, I didn't really know where to go at first. So Clown and his wife actually helped me find when they found an old Crash Test Dummies mask, and we flipped it inside out. And at the time I had dreads, so I was pulling the dreads out through these holes.
Through it, yeah.
And when I shaved my head, we took all that hair and we stuck it in the masks, you know, to kind of keep that look. But then over the year, I wanted it to evolve, you know, so I got a little more hands-on and exploratory with what I wanted to say visually, you know, and that's really where my like the difference between all those concepts came up. Like a lot of the guys in the band are happy with theirs and they keep theirs.
Right.
Maybe they'll change them subtly depending on who's making the new ones for us. But for me, I like exploring who I am now instead of, and I'm not saying it's nothing against the guys in the band, but for me, especially with the lyrics, I'm not the same guy I was, you know, 4 years ago when we did Point Five, and before that when I did All Hope Is Gone. That guy is constantly changing. So who is that guy in this moment, you know? And that's kind of where I had come from with the masks now. So I sit down with whoever's making them and I really kind of talk the concept out.
You draw it up?
They do. I'm
do.
no artist.
Oh, yeah, they draw it up.
Yeah, they draw it up. I'll change certain stuff here and there.
And who are the people? Are they like people in Hollywood that make masks for movies?
We work with different people, yeah. We worked with Screaming Mad George for the longest time.
Who's that?
He was a guy who did he's an effects guy from Japan. He did a lot of the special effects for the movie that comes to mind right now is Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he did a lot of that stuff. But he's a maniac. Like he's like an amazing artist. He did the masks for us for Iowa, Volume 3. Did a little work with us on All Hope Is Gone. But then we worked with a bunch of other people. I had the privilege this time around, the new stuff that I'm working on, working with Tom Savini. So I'm kind of shitting on that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's like, you know, he's the godfather to me, you know. Got to hang out with him, got to talk to him. Met him through a friend who actually works with him. And, yeah, the three of us are kind of developing this new mask together. So I'm kind of fucking chuffed on that, you know.
Yeah, you kind of teased it on Instagram.
A little bit, yeah. I got it, and it's really bare bones right now because it has to do with what I'm going to do underneath it as well. But it's not there yet. So I just kind of gave a little sample, and people were like, "What the fuck?" I loved it. It's like it blew up so quick, and then it turned into like 20 fucking news stories on like Loudwire and shit. And I was like, "You people need to get out more." This was literally this fucking big.
I couldn't even tell what it was when you put it on.
Everybody's like, "Is it bullets? What is that?"
That's what it looked like. Bullets
is it,
to
a
me.
plate? I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at.
It looked like bullets.
That's the whole point.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So I love that shit.
When you get the mask made for a tour, do you have like 2, 3 as backups? How's that work?
I started doing that, yeah, because I'm fucking hard on shit, you know,
Yeah.
and we're just hard on tour, you know. It's always good to have a backup. My original, I wore that all the way up until the end of Ozfest 99. And because I didn't have a backup, all that shit that was coming out of my face was eating it.
Oh.
And it started turning into jelly. And I was
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? So now I am on the verge of going on the Cold Chamber tour. And I don't have a mask. 'Cause this thing is fucking... I mean, I barely got to the end of Ozfest with it. I'm duct taping the inside of it, dude. It's fucking gross. And I'm like, I don't want to put it on my skin. Because, dude, it was literally melting against my skin.
Oh.
And I was like, well, this ain't going to work. So
You couldn't get another one made?
I went down and found a scarecrow mask.
Uh-huh.
And we kind of did the same thing. I took the dreads out of the old one, stuck it in that one, and then cut it. It was a little more uncomfortable than the other one because it just was unforgiving. But that was the one that I wore for the rest of
Just
that
like a
tour
Halloween
cycle.
mask at the store?
Yeah. I just took it. We developed it. We put it together, and yeah, that was it.
You know, I have some masks, and I have a Bougie Boy Devo.
Okay, yeah.
And they, a couple of them just dried out and I put them on one day, they just crack.
Yeah, yeah.
So do you have to how do you maintain them? Or are these made out of something else that won't fall apart?
Well, I mean, everything is gonna, kind of start to deteriorate after a while. For us, we keep them all first of all, we try to get as much of the moisture out of it as possible because that starts to deteriorate, like destroy the latex and whatnot.
Right.
But we also have people who work for us who actually take the masks at the end of the night and make sure they're dried and they're put away, and then and then they're brought out to get air into them, during the tour and whatnot. But after a tour cycle, I don't really care. I've got them on. I've got a lot of my old ones on styrofoam heads.
Oh yeah,
just for displaying and shit. But yeah.
Now, those would sell for big money on eBay,
dude. I've had people offer me serious cash for it, and I'm just like, not yet. I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
But to me, that's like hitting Dancing with the Stars too quick. You don't want to fucking be that guy. It's like, I'm not there yet.
Yeah,
we're good.
At what point, when you guys are out there, does it start to get kind of dark? There's like some drugs start to interject into the band, and that's an Iowa thing out there, or small towns are really into this like meth and Oxycontin.
We basically fucking invented meth, which sadly is.
Oh, I was on that shit for years.
Yeah, it's brutal, dude. We our first run, we were very adamant that we weren't going to be the cliche.
Yeah.
So we really tried to stay as clean as possible. And then it just slowly but surely really started to get in. And most of us are natural addicts anyway. I'm a fucking addict from hell.
Yeah.
And I started drinking. I had quit coke and speed when I was 16, so I didn't have a problem turning that down, but the booze was really where it got me. I'd never been a pill guy, I'd never smoked weed, but alcohol to me was the only thing that was getting my brain to shut off, and that's how it kind of starts when
after
you're on
shows.
the road. Absolutely. Yeah. So that, and then I'm like half extrovert and half introvert as well. So the booze helped me kind of be a little more social as well. But then you start, typical addict fashion. It's like, well, I can't go on stage unless I have a Jack and Coke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now I can't go on stage until I've had two. Now it's like, by the time I was by the time I was like the first time I was going to quit drinking, I had 3 bottles at all times with me, and I was going to the bars.
Jack and Coke?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
only Jack and Coke.
The candy of all.
I love you. Just the rock and roll.
I can't drink Coca-Cola without tasting Jack Daniels.
Oh.
That's how bad it is. So I just like, I'm just not going to drink soda anymore. And I don't really.
Yeah,
I just kind of quit.
Yeah.
But I got bad, man. Like, that was a nightmare. Like, thankfully, I still have a lot of friends from then who were like, God, we're so glad you don't drink anymore. I quit for about 3 years. Got divorced from my first wife. Was like, well, she was the reason I was so bad, and then started drinking again. Didn't get as gnarly as I was. Yeah, but luckily, I kind of got to the point where physically, I didn't want to do it anymore. Like the last night I drank, which was almost 9 years ago, I had 1 beer. I had a fucking Beck's in a bottle, and I never drink beer. But I just wanted something to settle me down, right? And I woke up the next day, dude. I had a fucking hangover for 2 days.
Oh, yeah.
It was the worst. And I was like, what the fuck is this sweet hell?
The older you get, you're just like, who kicked me in the fucking head?
And I really was like, and to this day, I'm glad I did it. I missed the calm down.
Yeah.
But I really was like, it's time. It's like I'm not getting any pleasure out of this. I get no happiness. It's not doing anything for me, and it's really hurting me. And it's taking me away from doing what I want to fucking do. It's the same reason I quit smoking later.
Yeah.
Like cigarettes.
Cigarettes
like,
is the worst.
Oh, dude, they're brutal. Oh. And I smoked since I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
Quit 4 years ago on Chantix with Thank Fuck. And I didn't even want to at the time.
Yeah.
But like everybody I was with at the time was like, we're all gonna fucking quit. I was like, fuck.
In the band?
And well, my second ex-wife.
Oh yeah. My second
ex-wife. Her whole family
right.
Wanted to quit. I was the only one that stuck with it. For real. Like I'm the only one who stayed off smoke. And and it's like, actually, it's like the best fucking, besides quitting drinking, it was the best fucking decision I ever made. Like, as a singer, especially.
Of course.
Like, I got like so much of my register back, but health-wise, every time I give up something like that, it has just improved me as an entertainer, as a singer, as a writer. It's like clear-headed. I've been able to write some of the best thoughts that I've ever been able to, you know? I know some people feel like they can thrive on drugs. I'm just not that guy.
Yeah.
I've never been able to create on drugs. So
I think you go through phases. Like you can create on drugs for a while, and then you use it as a crutch, and you're not creating anymore.
Exactly.
And then you're just burning down.
and then it just kind of streamlines, you know? And then by the time you're flat. And it's just like, what are you trying to prove now?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough.
It's got to be tough too when you're in a band and people get clean in different phases in bands, and other people are partying. That's always a wild thing, right? Because if you're not drinking anymore, but other people are doing other demons, it starts, and now you're kind of a business.
Not only that, but your business is suffering.
Yeah.
And you can see where it's suffering. And, you know, you get to the point where it's like you can only be so supportive and understanding. And then it's like, okay, cut the shit. That we're done here. You're either getting it together or you're not. You know?
Right.
And I've sadly had to make that decision quite a few times, actually, through my career, you know.
Yeah.
And it's never fun. It's never fun because this is still your friend. And, you know, putting on your big boy pants is fucking hard enough, you know, 'cause when you just want to enjoy shit. And then expecting people to do the same thing, especially when it pertains to your work, is difficult. And trying to convince them that you're hurting yourself, and not only you're hurting yourself, but you're hurting me, is even worse. And at the bottom of that is just worrying about your friend's health.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it really kind of gets to that point where you're like, I don't want to see you die. And how can we avoid that? You know, because I lost a friend.
Yeah.
You know, and that
had to be brutal.
That was the hardest thing I had ever had to go through. Right up until I lost my grandmother this year. Those are the two deaths that have fucked me up the most. You know, losing Paul was one of the hardest fucking things I've ever had to deal with. And you want to talk about fucking straightening somebody up right away. Because I watched that man fight it for so long, you know, and he didn't want to go.
Yeah.
He didn't want to go at all, you know.
It grabs people different ways, right?
It really does, yeah.
Especially when you're in a band, you really notice it. I did. I've had many bandmates where we're just partying all the time.
Yeah.
And then some guys, you're like, hey, dude, we're not partying today.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean? And it just grabs that person.
It becomes everything that they're focused on.
Yeah.
You know? But that's the addictive behavior.
Absolutely.
Know? And I've got that just in my life. You know,
I do
where it's
too.
Like, you know, where you just go down a fucking wormhole. Like about a year ago, I was obsessed with vintage movie posters.
Oh, there you go.
I spent like a good amount of money on
You
that.
move one addiction to the other.
Absolutely.
So, and especially with me, I'm like you. Yeah, late night, you're on eBay, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Kirk Hammett has a original
fuck, I gotta
vampire.
have this.
I gotta have
Yeah.
that too.
Oh, yeah.
I always wanted the Bionic Man doll again.
Well, I'm gonna fucking have that too.
And it's just trying to fill holes.
Yeah.
And then you get the stuff in your house. And then
you look at it.
And then you start selling it.
Yeah, and you're like, I don't really need any of this anymore. I'm gonna keep you. This is gonna fucking
It's an evil game, right?
It really is.
I
dude.
think addiction. I said it a couple weeks ago on my podcast. Addiction is the major flaw of the human being,
Yeah.
because the human body you know, you can fucking trash it and it'll come back.
It'll recover.
You can trash your kidneys.
Yeah.
You can trash your lungs. You can trash a lot of it, and it can kind of fix itself.
Yeah,
but
if
addiction,
you know the way,
if you know the way. But
yeah.
addiction is the number one thing that it's a major flaw in the. If we could reinvent the human, we'd get rid of addiction.
Well, I tell you what, and it's, you know, a lot of, and there's so much tied to, there's a flare in addiction right now, and it's one of the things that I'm working on in my new book is there's a correlation between that and social media. All of the shit that's being triggered because of social media, the same kind of dopamine.
It's the same thing. Touches the same spot.
It absolutely, it's compulsion and gratification.
Yeah.
Compulsion, gratification. And it's just a constant cycle. And I went dark on that last year.
You were just addicted to social media?
I was, man.
I ran through that.
I'd just gotten separated, and I kind of went down a crazy wormhole. Because I was really depressed. I was really fucking unhappy, man. Like I'd just been through hell. And I just started kind of, you know, before, you're a single guy, you go out, you play the scene, you do whatever, but now you've got all of this crazy shit at your fucking fingertips.
Yeah.
And for an addict, I mean, it turned into, it was fucking nuts, you know?
Wow. What were you, like, on Tinder or something?
No.
Like that kind of, or just Instagram?
No, just Instagram, Twitter.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to get out of it, you know? Like, because I was solid for about 3 months, solid. Just fucking, that's all I did.
Just stare at it for 5-6 hours a day?
Well, yeah, not only that, but just fucking, you know, out on the road, you know, ignoring my fucking duties and shit. The only time I would really fucking get away from it was when I was with my kids.
Yeah.
And then I'd have to make myself get away with it. And then the compulsion would come right back. And I was like, fucking, what is going on, man? It took me so long to settle that compulsion down, you know? I'm still on fucking Twitter and Instagram, but I have really extricated myself from that whole fucking process, like to the point where I've had to shut down my DMs, like shit, like change all kinds of shit. My fucking phone number got leaked.
Oh,
like last year, so I had to change that. I had the same fucking number for 10 years. And then because of my dumbass, it gets, I'm like, well, I guess.
Isn't it weird how when you stare at social media for hours and hours at a time, your brain almost becomes mush.
Yeah.
Compared to if we went out and just walked down the strip here, let's say.
Yeah.
As far as what I'm saying is taking in information and being able to use it as a writer.
Me
as a comedian, use the lyrics.
Absolutely.
When you're just like, you're looking at Instagram, you're like, oh, wow, look at that motorcycle. Ooh, whoa, look at that airplane. Oh, killer building. It doesn't seem to translate into inspiration.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to me.
I can't, and I don't understand.
I think you're not taking in all the senses, the smell,
you might be right.
the feel.
Because you can't qualify it with anything that can be relatable to your life, you know, where you can put it. And that's why as writers, we can instantly kind of put something in perspective. Whereas if you're staring at a fucking screen, it just looks like it might as well be a commercial for a phone.
That's all it is.
Like,
yeah.
You know? And
you just become mush.
Oh, dude, it's brutal. And I've gotten pretty good about staying off of it now. Like I'll post shit on there, and you know, and I'll read the comments and whatnot, but I've gotten much better about staying out of it, you know. If I could fucking get rid of it all, period, I would, to be honest.
Same with me.
But because
we're in the biz.
We do, exactly.
Oh God, I would easily turn it off. But it's without it, you know, I wish we were in the Zeppelin era where we're just cruising around America and arenas are sold out and the mystique, people are like, I gotta go see Zeppelin, you know?
But I don't even, how would that even work now?
I know, right?
I don't even know if it could. I mean, it's such a fucking 180 from what it used to be.
I think somebody's gonna end up doing it. you know, being like, hey, I don't have any social media.
Yeah.
But it's so scary, like, because it's the world is hooked on social media. So how do you get the word out without using social media?
I think what it'd come down to is, weirdly enough, you being anti-social media, fan bases picking you up and creating all of these fan sites.
Right.
And then that becomes your social media. So it's almost like you're not even writing your own story anymore.
Yeah.
However, it's kind of like Sia. You know, the artist Sia.
Yeah.
It's like I've seen maybe one picture of her, and I don't even fucking know if that's her or not. You
Yeah.
know? It's like crazy.
Yeah.
But I don't think she's on it. Gaga is here and there on it. She puts out what she wants.
Yeah.
But she's not like on it, like talking and talking and
Well, I
talking.
think once you get to a level, what a dream to get to that
you kind of have
level.
to have somebody else do it for
Yeah, you just go, hey, I'm out. See ya. Just
that's-
post up the tour dates.
And that was kind of one of the reasons why I liked doing it in the first place, because it was me actually talking to people.
That's what I loved.
I love interacting. You
Yeah.
know? But then the draw just becomes more and more and more.
I interacted hoping that it was going to help the draw of the
Yeah.
ticket sales.
Yeah.
You know, people are like, this guy's cool. He's a human. Let's
Yeah.
go see him. But to me, I think it's having the reverse effect. They're like, I don't really need to go see him because he's right here in my hand.
Yep. Yeah.
And I could just say, hey, great fucking photo. And he'll say, cool, thanks. And I'm good
That's
now.
all I need.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I think it's having the opposite effect. It's bizarre,
It's
you know.
so fucking bizarre.
And
dude.
it's going to be interesting to see where this world goes, and that does have a big thing to
what
do.
the next phase is.
And it's all about addiction, and it's corporates that are loving our addiction.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, just keep feeding them.
Yep.
It's the evil monster.
Yep. Yeah, because that's how they get their bottom line, which is tough, man.
You live out here in Vegas now.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you choose that? A lot of people live out here. It's a pretty interesting
Well,
place
I moved
to
out
live.
here about 8 or 9 years ago.
That long ago?
Yeah, with my now ex-wife.
Yeah.
Her family lived out here, so I still have a place in Iowa and a place out here. I basically bounce back and forth. I'm staying out here now because we have a daughter together, and you know I'm spending time with her while also spending time with my son who lives in Iowa, and it's also a quick hour flight, you know.
LA.
Yeah, well, fly right into. Well, I do the secret weapon. I fly into Burbank and then drive over the hill. You
It's
know,
the best.
It's fucking so good.
The best.
And so yeah, I mean, if I want to work, which you know, I mean, we're coming up, you know, next month, like January, I'll be working in LA for a couple months, working on the new Slipknot album.
That's going to be rad.
So, it's gonna be great. So what I'm gonna do is basically bounce back and forth between LA and here, and so I can spend time with my daughter and work most of the week in the studio. You know, so it's
Would you
perfect.
live in LA if you didn't have the daughter?
I lived there for a year or so. I was renting, and I don't know, man. To be honest, you know,
You digging Vegas?
I love it here. I mean, the cost of living is not bad.
Yeah.
What you get for your fucking money is great. There's
crazy.
a ton of shit coming in right now. I'm actually building a house.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, west of here in an area, and for what I'm getting for the price, man, fuck, I'd maybe get like a loft in fucking LA. You know, I mean, it's not that I don't like visiting and working in LA. It's just like we were talking about me pushing people down by their faces.
Yeah.
That would be a daily thing for me in LA. Like a lot of those people I just can't fucking handle.
Yeah.
And I have a ton of friends who live there, you know? So I don't know, maybe someday, if I really, if I sold the house here and I sold the house in Iowa, the kids were grown, and I just wanted to work, you know, maybe I'd fucking get a place in Burbank and just do my thing, you know?
Yeah. I like Studio City.
Studio City's cool. Silver Lake,
Great.
used to be cool.
Yeah, but it is great if you're like
Yeah.
around the reservoir or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Los Feliz is God.
Yeah. You know, a lot of my friends let out in Topanga, which is just too far
for
It's
me.
Too far, man.
I was living in Sherman Oaks and it was too far.
Yeah.
I was like, you know,
Yeah,
like,
right.
It turns into like I got to go over Laurel Canyon 3 times today.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck this.
Ugh, I
Yeah.
can't handle it.
Yeah.
And that's the shortcut.
That's the shortcut. Yeah.
You want to drive your ass down to Coldwater and figure it the fuck out. But yeah, no, Studio City, Burbank, like that whole area is great.
It's great.
I could totally run that. I have tons of friends there, and it's quiet enough that I could even deal with the 25-degree bump in heat when every summer because it's so much fucking hotter there.
Oh
and
my!
I don't know why.
It's insanely
brutal,
way
dude.
more hotter in Burbank. But that's coming from you living in Vegas.
I know,
which is hilarious.
It's like, okay, dickhead. It's like AC was developed for a reason. We are civilized people.
Now you guys are going to do the new Slipknot record. What studio are you doing it at? Who's producing it?
We're working with Greg Fiddleman again, who produced Point 5. He actually worked with us on Volume 3, the album that we did with Rick Rubin. He was the other producer.
Yeah. That's how Rubin works, right?
Yeah.
Either you love Rubin or you don't, but he's like, he'll come in and go, close his eyes. Let me hear the songs. And he'll be like, change the bridge. I'll be back next week. Was that how it went with you guys?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You can see from my face what side of the fence I'm on with that.
Wow.
Nice guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely nice guy.
Yeah.
However,
Fiddleman
was there soup to nuts with us, man. He was there from sometimes 6 in the morning till 4 in the morning. I mean, every day, when we needed him. And he was like that on Point 5, the last album too, man. He was like, and he produced the song All Out Life that we just put out. So we have a great rapport with him. He gets us, he challenges us, but he also knows when to get out of the way and just let us be us, you know? So we have a great relationship with him. And, the best thing you can have is somebody who's not afraid to tell you that idea is shit.
You got to have that.
You have to.
Can't have
that.
yes, man. You're going to have a shit record.
I feel like too many bands do that. They don't have anybody like pushing them. They have nobody challenging them because they get to a point where they think, well, I don't need anybody to fucking tell. I'm talented enough. Look at all these people who love me.
Yeah.
I obviously know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the case. You forget that the albums that people loved you on, there were other people helping you do that. It's a collaborative effort. I am not going to sit here and try to take credit for anything. I do what I do, but I also have people who help me. And that's the best way to do it, is you have to have that open mind. You have to have that open heart and that open creativity to understand that listening to an idea takes 10 seconds. If you just dismiss it out of hand, then you may be missing that one moment, that hero moment that could fucking make everything come together, Yeah. And that's what I love about that collaborative effort when it comes to working with a producer, and Greg knows exactly how to throw those little bombs out there to push us, and I mean, he infuriates us sometimes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'd say 9 times out of 10, he's right, and that's what's so killer. And he doesn't do it all the time. He's not like trying to get input on every tune. He's like, this could be better. This is, you need to work on that. But this is all fucking killer, So he knows what we're trying to go for. He knows what we aspire to be, and he helps us get there.
Is that why Rick didn't work for you guys? Because you need a guy that's like, hey, man, interject some stuff here.
I learned from the Ross Robinson School of production,
Hands-on producing.
I loved it. Absolutely. It's like there's a reason I'm working with him is because I can't do it on my own. I want somebody. I want to learn. I want to challenge. I want that, When it came time to work with Rick, he just wasn't fucking there. He had 6 different projects going on, it felt like. It's like, oh, I'm working with you too now. And I'm like, but we're still in the fucking studio, dude,
Yeah.
It wasn't until we finished the vocals at his house that I saw him more than once a week.
No, that's the old AC/DC complaint. You know, they were the same way. Like Malcolm was like, I never saw him.
And it's like, I won't get into the nuts and bolts of my issues, but I mean, we got a great album out of it. One that it's hard for me to listen to because that was the album where I really started to get sober, so there's a lot of that I can't listen to. However, Greg to me was the best takeaway from that experience.
Right. Was
working with Greg and then getting to know Greg, and then Greg has gone on to do fucking everything, man. He's produced Metallica. He does so much with so many people. And
it's all the people that worked with Ruben carry on with him.
And so there you go. The proof's in the pudding. Yeah. Greg knows how to think for himself. He's learned some stuff from Rick, but at the same time, there are a lot of people who have worked with Rick who haven't gone on to have the kind of career that Fiddleman had, that Sardi had.
Yeah,
Sardi, same guy, same type of situation where he was working with Rick and then moved on to his own. So these are guys that they have my total respect because they learned how to do it, but they didn't go down that wormhole. You know,
there's a guy out in Nashville right now that I would call the new kind of Rick Rubin. This guy, I think it's Dave Cobb.
I don't know the name. Who's he worked with?
Well, he did Rival Sons' new record. He's done a bunch of their
okay.
But then he's done Sturgill, and he's done this guy Marcus King. But he does all these people that are kind of Nashville outlaws and some rock.
Okay.
But I can definitely see him and Brendan O'Brien. Those are kind of like these classic producers that are fading away and drying up.
Yeah.
Because of most people making records at their house and no money for a producer anymore. That kind of stuff. Like, these record deals I'm hearing about beyond a 360 deal now. These deals that are even crazier, like make your record for $3,000. Here you go. You're like, $3,000?
It's like, fuck, what am I supposed to use? Easy's fucking drummer? Fuck you, man. Jesus Christ.
It's crazy, right? Now, what label are you on now?
We're still on Roadrunner.
Still on Roadrunner.
Still on Roadrunner, even though Roadrunner has changed hands like 4 times.
Jesus.
It's we're still a Roadrunner band. Both my bands are Roadrunner bands. Still working with some of the same people. There was a great purge of 2012 when Roadrunner, they fired basically everybody. And I'm talking about everyone who I had spent 15 years working with. And
just cleaned house?
They cleaned house largely because they didn't have enough money.
Yeah.
But they also kind of treated us, they kind of turned Roadrunner into an imprint, which is very weird. It sucked. I mean, it hurt us emotionally. However, the joke was on Roadrunner because all of those people landed on their feet and started their own businesses, and now they're thriving.
Oh shit!
So it's like and all of the people who they worked with basically went with them. And I'm talking about everybody from PR to radio to like all that stuff. Like they all landed very well. So it was almost like you trained them to basically go independent.
Yeah.
And now they are, and it's like, but it's also, so it's like we lost them at Roadrunner, but they still work with us.
Oh, that's great, because they're like, hey, man, I'm over here now.
Yep, exactly, and we're very loyal. We stay with the people who have been with us since the beginning, basically, and that's how you get by. That's how you keep going, is by remembering who helped you get there in the fucking first place.
I believe that big time.
It's tough.
You guys got to sell a fucking army of merch.
Oh, we do well. Yeah, we do good. Yeah, we do good.
I mean, because there's no money in record sales at all. So,
now that they passed,
let's talk about that a little bit. So that just happened.
Yeah,
like
one of 3 things that he did right.
Yeah, we don't even mention his name, but you're right.
Without spitting on the ground.
Yeah. But now let's talk about that. I've had many people on the podcast, and especially Def Leppard, who really laid it out for me. But there was no digital world in these record deals that were wrote up basically in the 60s. Mm-mm. And it never existed. So it's just kind of a whatever. We pay you whatever.
Yeah.
And then finally, they've turned that in the last few months Do you think that the record companies are going to find a way to still fuck that up somehow? Like, oh yeah,
well, here's the problem though: is the record labels have been making all of the money.
Exactly.
Again. That's why they've been actually spending a little more money on some of the acts and stuff. And so all of a sudden now there's money in the budget for a 4th video. Oh, really? Oh, well, where the fuck did that come from? You know, the tour support has kind of come back. Like that was kind of a foregone conclusion when I first started out, and then it went the fuck away, which is why bands weren't being developed. Like all the A&R or the R&D was just fucking gone because nobody had any money for tour support, for doing anything like that. And now suddenly they're all fucking flush and feeling good about themselves. So they're like, they're giving us our pittance again.
Yeah. Get out there and make us more money.
Yeah. But now that legislation has been passed, which thank fuck. And the thing that bothers me is that this should have been a fucking foregone conclusion to begin with. There's no reason that streaming shouldn't have been treated like the radio fucking the radio plays.
Yeah, same thing. It's
Absolutely.
the same thing.
And the fact that they argued that is really fucking infuriating. It's like there's so many bands that have had to stop doing what they do because they can't afford it, and yet their music is getting played like fucking crazy, all over the fucking place. It's like fuck you, man,
everywhere.
So it's kind of a catch-22 for me because as infuriating as it is for me, I'm also very happy about the fact that now the tables will have turned. But at the same time, I got to use these fucking people because that's how the majority of the music is listened to these days.
It's the only way it's listened to other than vinyl.
But the cool thing is that metal and rock are still genres where you can still make a physical copy. The last week, the 2 #1 albums on Billboard, it was the first time that those the 2 #1 albums, the top 2 albums weren't on CD, and that was since '85, I think.
What?
Yeah, because in '85, I mean, CDs weren't really even being played yet.
Yeah,
it was still tapes and vinyl. But these 2 albums were not released in a physical copy. They were R&B. So you're kind of looking at it going, holy shit.
So the 1 and 2 were never released in stores.
No.
Unbelievable.
It was all digital.
So it's a
weird world we're living in. However, if you can have your foot in both like we do,
that's great.
It's great. Absolutely.
Especially with vinyl.
Yeah. And we would never, too many of these, like these bigger metal rock bands are trying to go the way of the pop band. Fucking mistake.
Yeah.
You don't want to turn your back on your bass ever. Those are the people who fucking keep you where you're at.
100%.
Absolutely. So by changing the way that you fucking do things, you're basically just gonna why don't you just fucking break your own legs and then just lay there and feel like you're gonna fucking run a marathon?
You're just gonna light Middle America on fire,
exactly,
and just burn that to the ground.
We still do the physical copy across the board, while also embracing the other side of it. It's like
you got to do both.
Absolutely, man. I still buy fucking physical copies. It's like, why the fuck wouldn't I make physical copies for my fans?
Yeah.
It may cost less to do just a digital copy, but for me as a collector as well, I know people are looking for it, And then it's like, what the fuck are you going to sign? What are your fans going to sign? It's like, I feel like nothing out there. It's like, is it even real?
Yeah.
Like, fuck that.
I feel like the selfie has become the autograph for sure.
Kinda. Yeah, you're kind of right.
For sure.
I don't know. To me, it's still the triumvirate. It's albums, merch, live show. As long as you got that, and even this one is still weird.
Live show?
Well, no, the albums.
Oh, album. Oh, yeah, of course.
You can't fucking download a live show. I don't give a fuck what they're trying to do. They will never do it. There'll always be a place to go see live music because the only way you're going to be in that environment. You can't download Cotton. no matter how much they fucking try.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be the same fucking way. Even with Amazon and all of these online fucking places driving department stores and shit and retail out, people are still going to go, they're going to get out of their house. They're going to fucking buy some shit. Albums are the only thing that kind of fluctuates, and you just kind of have to figure it out. But for the most part, as long as you have those three, you can continue a career. And this is all I've ever wanted to do, is just be able to make money doing what I love. I don't need millions, but I'll take hundreds.
Yeah,
It's fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Speaking of millions, did you buy anything like excessive when you made some money? Because recently, I saw a few days ago, it was your birthday, December 8th, by the way.
Yeah,
Happy birthday.
yeah.
That's cool.
Thank you.
But I saw your woman got you a 3-car deal out here.
At Speed Vegas.
Yeah,
dude.
and you drove the Ferrari 458.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Audi.
The Audi R8.
R8. And
Yeah, the V10.
The 10, yeah. And then
the Mercedes AMG.
Yeah.
So fucking dope, dude.
Did you buy a crazy car at all?
No,
Ever?
I got kids.
So how was it? How was it out there on the track? Which ones you like the best? The 458?
I tell you what, I'm not a Ferrari guy.
Really?
Really not. I'm more of I like cars with hips. So there are a couple Ferraris that I really like.
Yeah.
Like I want to say it was I don't know if it was the 440 or the 660. There was one that had an Aston Martin type body to it, which just the DB9 is just so fucking.
Oh, you love the DB9?
I love
Great
the
car.
DB9. The styling that they have, it's just the best of all those worlds, you know? And that the Ferrari I was talking about, I think it came out about 8 years ago. That one was
Like the California.
Yeah. Basically.
It's a great car.
Such a great car, great curves, great lines.
Yeah. I like the Ferrari 4. I
just don't like the ones that look like they were made out of Legos.
Like race car ones.
Yeah.
I'm not into that.
I'm the same thing with Lamborghinis, though.
I don't like Lamborghinis.
No.
I'm not a Lamborghini
But
guy.
those fucking Maseratis, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, God. those
How'd you
are
like that
sexy.
AMG?
The AMG was great. It was the slowest of them.
Oh, really?
But it was also, the torque was insane on it. So I had to be real careful on the curves and stuff. Now, I'm not a track guy, so I'm a real road guy, so I'm just staying in between the lines. So it took me a while to really get the lines, you know.
How long do you get to drive them for?
The AMG I had for 7 laps.
7 laps.
And then the Ferrari and the Audi I had for 5. So by the time I got to the Ferrari, which was the fastest of them, I had the lines pretty figured out, how to hit the apex, when to not brake, really powered, like powering through the turns and whatnot. And when I was flat out, I had it going about, it was over 130.
Yeah.
And I mean, dude, I am ready to throw up the entire time because I'm so fucking
adrenaline.
Oh, I'm losing my mind. And my coach Todd, thank you, Todd.
Is he in the car with you?
He's in the car with me. I don't think I would have been as nervous had it just been me. But Todd's giving me the lines. He's like, okay, over right. I need you at that blue cone, and now turn, no gas. So he's really coaching me to get that fed. And I got better and better and better with every type. So by the time I got to the last one, which was my quickest, and I can't remember what my time was, but it was actually pretty fucking good. So I definitely got to do it again, you know. But the AMG was smooth. Even with the torque, it was really fucking smooth. And I had never, I'm a manual guy, so I'd never used the paddles before. I was all stick shift.
Yeah.
So this was my first time on paddles. And I'm like, oh, fuck, you know, like trying to remember that while also the Audi the chassis was stiffer. And the steering was more responsive. So like when I turned, I was going, you know, whereas with the AMG and the Ferrari, there was a little more give, you know, there was a little more, like a fraction of a second wait. Whereas with the Audi, you're just fucking going. Like if you turn that wheel, that's where you're going to be.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah. And then the Ferrari, man, was so fucking fast. I didn't realize how fast I was going until I looked out. I was like, oh, fuck. God. Like it was real, dude. I was like, and like he kept having to remind me, he's like, downshift, I need you to step on that brake. I'm like, I'm trying.
Wow.
Fucking dude, it was crazy.
Wow.
So I had a fucking blast.
How much
doing
is that?
it? It was a lot.
Yeah, I'm just curious because I think I need to go do that.
It was I mean, we were there for over an hour and a half. That you take a class first, they walk you through what you're going to do, they show you the track and whatnot, they give you pointers, and then they have a coach with you in the car.
Yeah. And do they have a bunch of cars you can choose, or they?
Yeah. Oh no. There was a.
Can you just go Ferrari only if you want?
You can do that. It's more money for the more laps that you do.
Yeah.
I don't want to bust my girl out, but I think it was like for that after it was over $1,100.
Wow.
So it was a lot,
but it's still.
But you also get their cameras in all the cars, and you get a
video,
they film the entire thing of you in the car, like, driving the video. It's got all the stats.
Yeah.
It's on it's a USB drive, and it goes right into the car. And your coach also has brakes.
Oh,
So
there's brakes over there?
Yeah, so if it gets squirrely, he can control. He can take control.
Well, it's like driver's ed.
Basically, yeah.
That's so weird to be in a Ferrari and there's a brake pedal over there.
It was such a fucking bizarre experience, dude. But I had a blast, man. Dude, I have a whole new appreciation for what drivers go through, because I mean, you're basically fighting your body that entire time to go faster, because your body's just like,
yeah.
Even if you want to, it's not letting you go. So it's chewing up crazy fucking G's, and you're stuck. Dude, I was seriously fucking sick to my stomach. After I got done. By the time I was done, I was so done. I was like, I don't even want to drive us home right now,
Yeah,
Get
I went
my fucking little Tahoe and take
I went
us
to a
home.
NASCAR camp. You gotta do that out in like the Carolinas.
Yeah.
And we played a gig after.
Oh my God.
And my arms were fucked.
Dude,
all
you're
of us.
so locked.
Because you're like, and you're just going in a circle, and your arms and the adrenaline and everything. You get out, and you're like,
it does so much to your body.
Oh, it does.
I don't know how the fuck they do it.
How about those guys? Like, Burr and I went and saw the Formula One.
Oh, yeah. That's even crazy.
Out in Austin, Texas. These guys were I mean, I was 5 feet away, dude. I was in heaven, like,
oh, dude.
They're crashing and shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they're so fast. It's like you forget. It's
so
like,
fast.
Yeah. There's no fucking way. Dude.
Are you a motorcycle guy?
I was when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And actually, I just got my girl a Triumph for Christmas.
Oh, yeah. Bonneville or something? Or
I got
Scrambler?
a 2013 Speedmaster.
Oh, that's great. She rides?
Oh, she loves it. Yeah, she fucking shit. She was like, oh my God.
Where'd you meet your girl? Out here?
We met, she's originally from Atlanta. Well, originally from Seattle, and then moved to Atlanta. She's the leader of a dance troupe called the Cherry Bombs.
Oh, wow.
And so they gig all the time, right? And we met, we had kind of met in the past, but had never really talked or anything like that. And then we were putting together a tour last year for Stone Sour and Steel Panther. And I wanted the Cherry Bombs to open the show. So we started talking then, and then just one thing led to another, and all of a sudden it was like, boom.
Wow, that's pretty rad.
It was pretty cool, man. And we've been together ever since.
Before we get out of here, I know that you did a little time with Velvet Revolver, right?
Yeah.
I auditioned for that on the first
wow.
wave, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And you didn't come until after Scott, right?
After Scott had left, yeah.
And what was that like? Did they just hit you up secretly, like they were thinking about doing it again?
Well, I mean, I knew that they were auditioning people.
Yeah.
Because I know Matt, I know Duff,
Yep.
And I knew they were auditioning people just from in passing, just from doing stuff with Matt at like Camp Freddy and shit, and then like talking to Duff and whatnot and Slash. And so when they hit me up, I was like, I mean, let me change my pants real quick before we have this conversation. And it was fucking cool, dude. Walking in and they sent me some songs to record to, which, I did some and just kind of gave it, did my thing with it, sent it back, and they were into it. So I was like, well, why don't you come out and jam with us? And so I rehearsed with them for like 2 or 3 days. And it was fucking killer, dude. Even fighting, like, my allergies were killing me, so I didn't sound the best. But then I went back out to do like writing sessions and stuff. Wasn't really sure what was happening, but it seemed like everybody was kind of ready to just kind of move on and do something else.
Yeah.
And I've even talked to, the guys since, and they were like, look, it wasn't nothing against you. As I feel like
they were just kind of
it had run its course.
Why are we trying to do this again with another singer? I get that. Yeah. Were you in there singing like Slither and stuff?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I did Slither. I did a lot of stuff.
Any GNR?
No, we never did any GNR. But I was ready.
Yeah.
I really don't have that range, but I was like, I could do It's So Easy. I could do some of the, lower stuff,
right.
But I was ready. I was stoked. So,
Slither's a high song though.
There's some good notes.
Falling to Pieces and stuff too.
Falling to Pieces is tough because it's recorded in one key. And then they played in a different one sometimes.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they bounced back and forth between it.
Like, would they go down?
It would go a little higher.
Higher?
A little higher. And I was like, whoa, man. So we did that one. We did, God, the names are escaping me.
Yeah.
But no, man, it was fucking, they were really great songs. And you could tell that it was a lot more cohesive when we did the stuff off the second album. It didn't have that same kind of energy.
Yeah.
But it was cool.
That's great, man. Well, we got to have you when we do the Bon Scott tribute again. Have you come down and do one,
dude. I would love to do that.
That'd be great.
That'd be killer. Even to just come and watch that shit.
Just come down and sing one. It'd be great.
I'd try. I mean, Bon's not exactly easy either, man.
He's not.
How it is.
But it'd be cool to do your own thing.
Right?
I like when guys do covers and you're like, oh my God, the singer takes it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And you're just like, this is cool. Instead of everybody trying to do Bon.
Yeah.
Like I do Bon.
Yeah.
But if you got like Lenny Kravitz down there.
Oh, he's going to do his thing.
Yeah, he's going to do his thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he'd be like, I'm living easy.
It's like his version of Deuce.
Oh,
remember
God.
that?
Yeah, great.
Such a great tune. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can't thank you enough for doing the podcast, man. Especially here we are, the day after Christmas.
I know, right?
I work every day of my life.
Yeah.
And I forget other people have families and stuff. I'm like, hey, so you can make it Christmas Eve, right?
Yeah, I was like, and we tried to. I was like, you know what? I'm doing family shit.
That's so great.
But today was perfect, man.
I'm so glad we didn't do it Christmas Eve because I flew in, did 2 shows, and I was like, ooh, I'm going to be torched.
Yeah, dude, totally.
But I'm looking forward to hearing the new Slipknot.
Dude, yeah, and, it's going to be dope.
I'll stop by the studio when you guys, if I can.
Yeah, man, hit me up. We'll stay in touch.
I'll wait till you're doing vocals.
There you go.
That's what I like to come in on, hearing that stuff.
Right on, man.
All right, thank you so much. And what do you got coming up? Anything you want to promote? This will be out next week.
Nothing really. I kind of forced myself to take some time off just to be able to catch my breath and get ready for the Slipknot run.
Yeah.
Nothing coming up yet, but I mean, as soon as something does come up, I'll let you know.
And you got Max's son on drums now.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Insane, right?
Max is so underrated.
Very underrated.
Underrated, dude.
Especially as a traditional player.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he is so sick.
Oh. Did he ever do a sound check with you guys, Max?
No. That would have been fucking crazy.
That would have been cool. He's back there like,
oh, he'd be like, this is fun.
Yeah, he got that smile, big swing going on.
But that's how Jay got into us. Like Jay was is a huge Slipknot fan. So we met Max when we did Conan, and Jay was watching, and then within 6 months we were playing a Halloween show in New York, and Max brought Jay. He was like 8 years old, and he was dressed like me.
Oh,
so I have this killer picture of me. Oh, dude, it was the fucking best.
And now he's in the band. I love those stories.
It's so killer.
I love those
and he's
stories.
A great kid, dude.
Did you audition a bunch of drummers before him?
No, just him.
Wow.
Yeah, just him. And thankfully he got the gig.
I love it. Thank you so much,
Oh, it was
man.
my
Great
pleasure,
talking.
man. Thank you.
That's another episode right there, guys. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on iTunes. That's how we keep this thing in the top 100. And also, don't forget about the Patreon bonus episodes every Thursday on Patreon. You can sign up there, patreon.com/Dean Delray. And look for me out in Houston in March 7, 8, 9 at the Improv with Joey Diaz, and out at the Comedy Castle in Detroit in April. Love you guys. Candles lit.